I am Nikarasu with the Paparasu, and in this video, I'm going to be doing something different. Kinda. This is my very first why this works and why this doesn't work kind of video, which is something I have not done on the channel yet. In this specific video, I'm going to be going over why Batman vs Superman works, and why Batman vs that Kryptonian that he fought in the Flash movie doesn't work. I'll first go over why Batman vs Superman works. As we all know, Superman and Batman are the most popular figures in the DC universe. Not only are they both great heroes, but they're also great friends, and have had so much history together throughout the decades. Also throughout the decades, the two have had several battles against each other. There have been battles where Batman has beaten Superman, and battles where Superman has beaten Batman. There have even been times where the fights end in a stalemate. I've seen people say that Batman shouldn't even stand a chance against Superman due to the fact that he's just a human, and that he's only able to survive and perform the way he does is because of plot armor, which has said a lot about Batman. Now, I'm sure that there are indeed times where Batman does have plot armor, but out of all the fights I've seen between Batman and Superman, Batman doesn't have any plot armor. Since we're on the topic of plot armor, I'm gonna play a clip from one of Colin's videos where he explains what exactly plot armor is.
So first we need to establish what is plot armor. Now, the dictionary definition of plot armor is used to refer to the phenomenon in fiction whereby the main character is allowed to survive dangerous situations because they are needed for the plot to continue. But this definition isn't very specific, and it can be applied to almost every piece of action media. Just because a character survives a dangerous situation or does something very impressive, that doesn't inherently make it plot armor. Because if a character has the abilities, powers, skill, willpower, etc., and those things are consistent or pre-established before the character is placed into a dangerous scenario, for them to make it out of said scenario in a logical manner, keyword logical, then that is not plot armor. But if, for example, me, was to fight Reverse Flash, a normal real-world human, and I was able to beat Reverse Flash in a fight, someone who is literally faster than the concept of speed and time, then there's no logical reason why I should win that fight, because I have no reason to be winning that fight. And even if you were to give me a reason for winning that fight, like let's say the anti-Speed Force device or gold kryptonite from Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, that reason could still be poorly written and still be illogical for reasons that I laid out in that video. The 16th thing is, we obviously know when they fight Superman, and I don't even think I need to explain this. Superman scales the Flash in speed, and it is stated by Batman, Superman is stated by Batman, to be the most powerful being in the Justice League, or on the planet. Even Barry is massively confused on how Brainiac can even capture Clark. I don't need to explain this. It's fucking Superman. And I don't give a steaming shit that he's affected by gold kryptonite, purple kryptonite, pink kryptonite, cryptocurrency. It doesn't fucking matter. He doesn't need to get close to any of them, even though he could literally speed blitz any of them and knock their heads off before they can even react. But he can easily throw a car at light speed, use his heat vision from range, use his freeze breath from range, throw 100 rocks at light speed, and in the beginning of the fight, he literally can do any of the things I just mentioned, and instead he flies off for no reason, then comes back instead of doing any of that. There is literally no reason they win this fight. It's bullshit. And one more thing I'd like to establish is that humans, or rather peak humans in fictional settings, that do things that aren't possible at all by real-world standards, that is not plot armor either. Fictional universes tend to have things like exaggerated physics, durability, or physical abilities for their characters when they're human, or even when they are not human. This is why you would look stupid for saying things like, well, Batman is human, so it's not logical for him to beat up a room of 15 men, or for him to be dodging bullets, especially if it's been consistent with the character for a long time, or if it's pre-established before a dangerous situation that Batman or any other character has these capabilities. And one more caveat that I would like to establish is in regards to pre-established well-known characters like Spider-Man, for example. If, for example, in Civil War, I see his spider sense activate and save him from getting hit by Bucky right here, without it really being established beforehand that he has this ability, I will not criticize the film for that, because we all know that Peter has this ability throughout his history if you don't live under a rock, unless you're John Watts. So that is why I would not criticize Civil War for that ability not being pre-established.
I completely agree with the definition and explanation he gave for plot armor. An example I hear of Batman having plot armor is in this scene from Batman Hush, where Batman is pushed against the wall pretty hard. And this is an instant where people say Batman should have died, and the fact that he doesn't is plot armor. But it isn't, because there are two logical explanations as to why Batman survives. One is because there are statements that Superman is holding back.
You thoughtless, worthless, stupid meat! I don't get my money if they're still alive.
I won't kill.
Are you trying to resist?
But this is Superman.
Yes. And if he wanted, we'd be dead already.
And two, it's said by Alfred that the headpiece has a bit more padding, meaning that there's more protection towards his head. But it's mainly the first. Before going in to face Superman, Batman uses what he's well known for, preparation time, which is something that's been established for a long time. Usually what Batman comes up with is to use a certain amount of kryptonite against Superman, and or fights him using an armored suit. While these two things do help Batman to contend with Superman to a certain extent, the kryptonite and the armor suits don't necessarily ensure Batman the victory. What really helps Batman the most is Superman not wanting to kill Batman. So throughout their fights, it's implied that Superman is holding back, not wanting to kill Batman.
We don't have to do this.
Sure we do.
Bruce, be reasonable. You know what my orders are. That was 3 ribs, Bruce. Don't make me do this. What are you doing? Do you want me to kill you?
Oh, you're not going to kill me.
It's made clear that Superman is purposely holding back against Batman. What also doesn't count as plot armor is the intention of a character. Superman's intention of not wanting to kill Batman are clear. It's not really in Superman's character to want to kill someone, especially someone who he considers to be his friend. So therefore, it is not plot armor for Batman to survive against Superman or even beat him in a fight. The only time I can think of where Batman indeed did have plot armor when fighting Superman was in the storyline Superman Sacrifice, where Superman is put under some kind of hypnosis and believes that he's fighting Darkseid, but instead of Darkseid, it was Batman who he was really fighting. And as a result, Batman was put into a coma. This right here is indeed plot armor. As we all know, Darkseid is far more powerful than Batman. Darkseid is a god and can contend with Superman, and depending on which adaptation we're talking about, can even beat Superman. When Superman battles Darkseid, he doesn't hold any of his punches. He has to put in a lot of effort against Darkseid. And even then, Superman still struggles against Darkseid. He's one of the most powerful beings that Superman has faced, and one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe. If Superman believes that he's facing Darkseid, he's not likely to hold any of his punches back. So Batman should not be able to survive a hit like that from Superman. He should have been instantly killed from the first hit. The fact that he isn't is plot armor for Batman here. If Superman was pure evil, care very little for Batman, and not waste time, he would easily kill him. Now moving on to Batman fighting any other Kryptonians, such as the one he faces in the Flash movie. One of the many problems within the movie. Batman in the Batwing uses the weapons inside to take on a Kryptonian, but none of them have any effect on the Kryptonian. And this very Kryptonian jumps onto the Batwing. And this is the first spot where Batman should have died, since this Kryptonian is capable of easily destroying the Batwing. But somehow Batman survives here, and manages to get away from that Kryptonian at that moment. That was just the first instant of plot armor for Batman there. The second instant of plot armor is here. This Kryptonian should not be struggling to catch Batman here. And Batman should not be able to move around the way he does. But eventually, the Kryptonian does grab Batman and manages to throw him. But it doesn't take long for Batman to get up. And to make things even worse, somehow this explosion Batman placed on him knocks him down. even though these missiles here had absolute zero effect on the Kryptonian. But somehow, this explosion managed to knock him down? Look, I admit that when I first saw this, the Batman fanboy in me was going crazy for this scene. But looking back at this should not have happened. Batman has no kryptonite, no super armored suits, and this Kryptonian isn't exactly Batman's friend. This Kryptonian should have been able to kill Batman instantly. And the fact that he doesn't and Batman performs the way he does is straight up plot armor. Even though this Kryptonian doesn't die here, this doesn't change the fact that this was plot armor for Batman. Overall, Batman is usually prepared to face Superman. Batman is not only the world's greatest detective, but he's also a great strategist. And Superman, at most times, is unwilling to kill Batman. Even in fights where Superman is willing to kill Batman, Superman can be overconfident and arrogant, which can lead to his downfall. Like what happens in Superman Red Son. Rather than kill Batman immediately, Superman shows overconfidence and arrogance. Superman believed that Batman couldn't do anything to him and that he had no weaknesses. A similar thing happens in the origin story of the Devastator. Superman brings up things he could do to Batman, and rather than do any of those things, he decided to taunt Batman. He wanted Batman to know the difference between them. He wanted to make Batman feel helpless before he finished them off. And by doing so, force Batman's hand to turn himself into Doomsday and kill Superman, which is revealed to be something that Batman could have done from the start. But he didn't do so because he still believed in the good in Superman, up until he was about to kill Batman. Batman's preparation time, and Superman's unwillingness to kill Batman, or overconfidence and arrogance, but mostly the unwillingness to kill Batman part, is what makes battles between the two work. And as I mentioned before, when Batman faces the Kryptonian in the Flash movie, Batman has no kryptonite or special armored suits. He had just learned about the Kryptonians and knows absolutely nothing about them. There is no way he could come up with a plan to take one down, let alone a whole army of them. Overconfidence and arrogance will not play into Batman's favor here. Even though I'm pretty sure that this Kryptonian has no reason to be, since he's just only following orders from General Zod. Just like all the other Kryptonians are following Zod and invading the Earth. There's absolutely nothing that Batman can do, and if he does what he pulled off in the Flash movie, then that's just plot armor. Which is the reason why this doesn't work. Which brings this video to an end. Now if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. And leave your thoughts down below in the comments. If you're new to my channel, feel free to check out my other videos, shorts, posts, and subscribe if you haven't already.